Hello, everyone. It is Monday, November 29th, 2021. And to all of you people in the Sacred Spaces community and on my private Facebook sites, I'm doing this short video today on something that has come up recently and often on my um, Facebook group and in private consults and all that. So I really want to touch on this because there's so much confusion around what I believe you need to do, and that is about horses that bite. And there seems to be a lot going around about do this or do that to this horse to make the behavior stop. And there's a lot of advice going around. And I just want to tell you where I come from both an energetic place, a place of what's going on neurologically with the horse, psychologically with the horse. And it's not an easy answer to what technique or what thing you're going to do to maybe make that behavior stop. And what I want to start with is that I never go about something saying, I want this behavior to go away. I'm going to look at it in a different way. I'm going to go and try to find out what caused the behavior to start in the very first place. And there can be a variety of different reasons why that biting behavior came about. For example, it might be that the horse is anxious, and that's the way it expresses its anxiety. It may feel threatened, it may be frightened, it may be reacting to something in its environment that makes it uncomfortable, which would include the person next to it. So we'll talk a little bit about that too. So when people say, I want to get my horse to stop biting me, what is your technique? It's like, I'm going to say, I have no technique. I don't know until I speak to you. I see what that horse's environment looks like. I find out how long that behavior has been going on. There's a whole variety of questions that need to be explored before I would even know what to do to stop that behavior. And if you think of it as stopping the behavior, that's all you're focused on, then it's not going to work for you, because if you just make that behavior go away, say you hit the horse or you smack him whenever he does it, and pretty soon the horse stops that. But the underlying reason the horse came up with that behavior in the first place has not been addressed. And so what's going to happen eventually is there's going to be another behavior that comes up to replace the old one. And it may be more dangerous. We don't know. So I always take the focus away from what can I do to make this stop, to find out, like, why is the horse doing that behavior, and go to the root cause of it. And this takes a lot of exploration. It takes time sometimes. If that's a neurological response and it's been going on for quite a long time, then all of the neural pathways are now primed and ready. So whenever that horse gets triggered by whatever that original event was that caused the biting, when that trigger happens, it's going to automatically go back. This is the behavior I do to resolve this, or attempt to resolve it on the horse's part. So if you want to break it down into thinking about behaviors in a different way, is that a behavior comes about for a horse to decide, do I want to keep this feeling, or do I want to make it go away? So we're looking for behaviors where there's things like calmness in the horse, or it stands with its feet still, and all those kind of things. Those are behaviors that come about because the horse feels calm. And so when it stops moving its feet, it can feel calm, and so it keeps repeating that. And on the converse side of that, uh, a situation like biting might come about because the horse originally felt threatened in some way, or it had an excess of energy and it didn't know how to get rid of it. So it did the biting as a way to resolve that. So it was about making the feeling go away. So if you think about behavior again as it's only there to make something stay or something go away, in that case, then we have to look at behaviors of such as biting to go, what can we do to make the original feeling that he had that triggers him to go into the biting behavior? How do we make that go away? And in that way, a lot of times people go, oh, don't you notice the horse is doing this thing or biting, or this horse is doing that? Why aren't you focused on that? Why aren't you correcting that? And the reason is because I'm not going to correct trauma. I'm not going to correct anxiety. I'm not going to correct one of those things if that's what it is, because is that going to work? Probably not. Because just think about you. If you were anxious and you're standing there and you're thinking of things to do, like you go start talking fast, or you start screaming or something like that, and somebody slaps you and says, stop it. Does that stop your anxiety? No. It might stop the behavior momentarily, but you're going to resume that same behavior the next time you're triggered in that same way. So that's why I'm really careful about when people ask me on my Facebook group, what do I do with a horse that bites? And I say, I don't know for sure. We need to explore this together. We need to look at everything going on in this horse's life and its environment and what's going on with you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And what I found with horses that bite a lot is often that they are around a situation or a person that causes them high anxiety. And the horse, especially with people that have a lot of anxiety, I see those horses nipping on them all the time. They're like constantly all over, like, make that energy go away. Stop that. And if we don't recognize that we're contributing to the biting behavior by our own anxiety or by us actually making pictures of the horse biting us, then it's never going to go away. So this is probably going to be a multi-part discussion. I have talked about biting on my YouTube channel within a big, long, hour-long session, and I've talked a little bit about it there, and I've wrote about it before in my Facebook groups and all that, and I think it's time that I actually do a speaking part of that too, so maybe it hits people in another way. Like, some people like to read about something, some people need to hear about it in order for it to make sense for them. So I'm going to try to go through different ways of doing this, getting information to you and ways that you can understand, and really having these deep discussions on the sites. What do we do with these things that come up with our horses? And if you've been with me very long, you know that I don't follow conventional ways of dealing with, let's say, trailer loading, or in this case, biting, that I am going to look at it in a very deep way and really find out what's going on in that horse's life that's making him do that behavior. And I'm not going to focus then on the behavior. I'm going to focus then on how do I change his environment so that he doesn't feel the need to do that biting behavior anymore. So this was just a short one today. I just had a few minutes today to jump on and just tell you that I'm going to really go deeper into this whole biting behavior. And I may do it over the next couple days here when I have some time to sit down in my office and speak about it and put together some notes so that you can maybe be empowered to feel like, well, I can be a scientist. I can explore this in a different way instead of just saying, let me look at how many different people correct that behavior and what's the next correction that I can do, because that becomes that kind of place where you keep searching for the next correction. Which correction is going to be the right one for my horse? And believe it or not, you're never going to exhaust all those corrections. You're going to try them all, and the behavior is going to come up again and again. And so what we can do is go slowly through this and how I would evaluate a horse in a situation and see how I would go about changing that behavior into something more positive. And when I've done this in the past, I had a young horse that one of his first reactions to any kind of human contact and training was that he's going to be nippy. And that's really common for a foal, is like to be very nippy. And a lot of that I was looking at, it's like he doesn't know what we're doing with him. He doesn't know what to expect. And so his way to let go of all his excess energy that's from his anxiety is to do some outward behavior. So he would rear, he would kind of strike his legs, he would try to kick, or he would bite. And all of those things that the person kept saying, why don't you correct that? You should correct that behavior. It's like, no, I need to give him confidence. I need for him to know everything's going to be okay. And that behavior is going to go away but on its own without me focusing on it or correcting it. Because the more I put focus on stop that, quit doing that, it's going to cause them to start to go, oh, this is a game now. Now I know the rules to this game. It's like I do this thing and then you smack me, and then I do it some more and then you smack me again. And we just keep going around and around. And then tomorrow we do the same game. And if any of you know, I don't play games with horses. I don't do those kind of games. I usually go, there's going to be no reaction from me from that. And I'm going to look and see, can I model for you what it would feel like to be confident? And I'll go from that energetic area and going, here's what it feels like to be confident. And I'll make pictures of what we're going to do. And it will help calm the horse down. And then they go, oh, I don't have to get so anxious. But I'm always going to be at a point where here's an alternative that's a positive one for you when you feel this anxiety come up. And let's go into a different direction. Then you have to escalate a behavior that becomes dangerous to a human and then causes you to have a lifetime of anxiety because you know you're going to get corrected for it as the horse, but you keep doing it because you have no other option. You don't know what else to do. And so this is what we're going to explore this week. You can put some questions. I can't really read them on the site as we go along, but what we can do is I'm going to do these short videos, like I said before, that we can bring up some topics for discussion and really look at these things in a much different way than we've looked at them before, in a lot of different ways that we've been trained. And believe me, I came from the place where I was trained like, don't let the horse in your space. He's in your space. He's being disrespectful. He's being rude and smacking when he gets in there. And after I started to really hone my own sense of like, what am I feeling from that horse? And I would go, wow, I'm not feeling that he's trying to be disrespectful. I'm feeling that he's so insecure that he needs to be close to me to feel like he is okay. And what if I can help him feel okay standing away from me outside of my space? And usually when I do that, there is not a horse that crowds me because they don't have to. They don't have to do that anymore. They don't have to bite on me anymore because there's no need. And so here's how we're going to look at this in a much different way. And I feel like I'm here to bring a different perspective on it. You give it a try, you experiment with these things. And, a lot of times with behaviors that are pretty significant like this, I will have people work with me for a little bit so we can work together and try some different things and look at what could help this horse feel better about himself, more secure, more confident, whatever it may be. And then you're just going to notice the behavior disappears that you didn't like. So anyway, until the next time, and what I'm going to try to do is come back on tomorrow and I will go over a few more things in detail. I'll look at some of your comments and your questions about this biting, and we will really explore it deeply. And again, what I want to do is so that we don't get discussions that go on where you've got a whole bunch of different people giving you a whole bunch of different information, and then you get more and more confused because you don't know which one is right. And I'm not saying mine is right, but I'm going to say that I'm going to look at every topic that we talk about from the perspective of the horse's psychology, from their neurology, from the spiritual end of it, from the energetic end of it. So we're going to put together all of those pieces and start to learn how to evaluate what's going on in our horses' lives and how can we support them the best we can. So until next time, which I hope is tomorrow, and I will let you know when I have time, and I'll put the announcement up and schedule it for a certain time, and we will continue this discussion on biting. So until then, take care and send in your questions as you have a chance to review this so that I can know which way to go with it and in the first discussion that we have on it. So thank you all so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye.